All right, look who's on camera.
Hello, everyone.
Can you hear her okay? We'll find out.
Yeah, I guess
There's
we
like a
will.
3-second delay, so it'll come up in the chat screen.
All right.
Look, CDL says hi. So that's great too.
Okay.
So CDL's mentioning when he and Factual Gall flew into Rome, they landed at this airport and then rode the train to the Termini. So this is exactly what we're going to do, you guys. This is perfect. And we didn't rehearse this ahead of time, right, CDL? We're going to be taking off and heading into, I'm going to guide everybody, in whoever's coming with me, into the Termini, or the terminal, the train terminal, where you would normally get off the train, jump in a taxi, or meet your friends, or head over to Piazza Repubblica, any one of those things, and continue on your journey and discovery of Rome. A few weeks ago, CDL and Factual Gull were along the Amalfi coast, and my heart sank because that was one thing that Elaine and I were going to do. But because we hold Positano and certainly the smell of lemons in Amalfi, we hold that as one of our high points in our holidays. But that's fine. We've got Rome, so we've got plenty to cover in an hour and a half. That's for sure. We're probably going to cover what most people cover in many days, and we're going to try to give you some highlights in a few of those too. No, that's no problem at all. But yeah, we're not going to just keep duplicating each other's flights, but there's plenty of variety to go around, that's for sure. All right. And last year we were in Paris and England for our son's wedding. So I mean, there's a whole trip right there we could probably do both in one day even, although we did use the channel to get between the two of them. All right, so let's gather here. I'm going to just say go fly, and we'll gather here. And as people are gathered, we're going to just get going. So we've got lots to cover here. So Elaine, what I'd like to do is I would like to say, do you want to say hello to everybody in a formal way? Here, we'll give you the screen here at the terminal.
Hello, everyone. I guess I was introduced as the person who knows Italy well, and I did learn an awful lot about it when I spent 7 years there. I lived in an Italian environment, and they did not speak English, so I had to learn Italian pretty quickly. I loved it. I loved it at first sight, just because it is probably the most beautiful place on earth. Once you get to live in it a while, you see all the kind of little hiccups about the city, but it's just because they're so outgoing of people that it's hard to get used to if you're of Anglo-Saxon heritage. In any case, we're here to share that passion with you tonight. Hopefully we can get you involved in it too, and maybe one day visit it or go back to visit it with fresh eyes. There you go. On to you, Hal.
That's great. Thanks, Elaine. Glad to have you on board. So let's now continue on with our main screen, where we'll have both of us on a split screen, and the flight will be here. For those of you who are joining us that are just coming along for the ride, just to see how it is and to learn a bit about Rome, we thank you for joining. I do want to say that the intro music that we had at the start, that intro music was sponsored by a subscription by CDL. When people subscribe to our channel or donate, and there's a big donate button there if you look at the About screen, that helps to gather some of these things. As many know, we can't just broadcast any kind of music on our Twitch channels because we'll get caught for copyright. So we're following the rules. And this music was brought to you by the subscription by CDL. So we thank you for that. That's great. It was beautiful music. For those who missed it, it's sort of like this. All right, I'll leave it in the background. We'll see lots of that. So here we are on the tarmac. This is the part that Elaine is bored with. It's like, yep, that's a wing, Howard. Yep. And so the flying part, she's not that interested in, but wait till she comes alive when you get into the Rome part. And I see someone over there in an A5, XARUKO. Are you joining us on the stream? And Kevin, I see you're there in the chat. Are you nearby here? So let's just have a look outside the plane. There you are, right beside me. So there's Kevin beside me, you guys, a little further down. And it's funny that this parking spot faces us into buildings, so somehow we got to get around them. We could do a pushback, I guess. So while we're doing pushback, I'm just going to call the tower and ask for a pushback here. And maybe they'll come and push my plane back before it gets to the point where I've started the engine. So I'm going to start the engine in a minute. The person over on the runway probably is with us, but they spawned on the runway. And by that, everybody, we mean that when we first start the simulator, you have a choice of starting right on the runway and get going, or on the tarmac. And when we have group flies, we want to meet at a parking area instead of clogging the runway. There are planes that are coming in and out and taking their time, so we want to just make sure that we're not in their way. This fella here is taking his sweet time to push me back, so okay, that'll take a moment. We'll start up the engines, and this plane just gets and goes. All right, so I also see a 172 over here on the right. If that's one of you that's with us, I think that person's name is Planted Tomato. I've seen you before on the streams. And if you're with us too, then I'll come over and join you guys at the runway. We're taking off from runway 25. So what we'll do before we start up, I'm just going to make sure I've got my headset so I can talk to the tower. And I'm going to make sure that yeah. And I'm looking at the text. So once in a while, you guys, you'll see me looking over. I'm making sure that that chat screen's in my face because you never know, right, what's going on. This is a live session, so anything could happen, all right? And I say that because sometimes the flight simulator might crash. Sometimes the audio cuts out. So you just have to let me know if there's anything wrong.
Or your plane may crash.
That could happen too, I guess.
That
Right?
did happen.
That wouldn't be a good thing, would it? All right, so I've asked him to go away now. Like, thank you very much. Man, I think he's low on batteries. You see how slow he was? And I still got to turn around somehow. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. All right, so let's come back inside here. This is a cute little plane, I'll tell you. It's the sports car of airplanes. And I really like flying it. Today I'm using it because, just a minute here, I got to get to the right screen. Today I'm using it because it goes nice and slow. Parking brakes off. And the last thing I have to make sure I do is turn on the fuel. So if anyone else is flying this plane today, make sure that fuel's on, all right? And in fact, you know, what I have here is something called pilot-to-pilot communication. So this is what I'll do anytime I'm speaking to the fellow flyers. I'm going to do this. Fellow flyers, just make sure that your fuel is in the on position or you'll never start your engine. And by the way, this wing lock won't work while you're in flight. And furthermore, we have a parachute if we're in trouble. The whole airplane has a parachute. Do you believe that? Let's get back to let's get back to our normal screen and stop playing, Howard. Let's get going. All right. Start her up. It's on. Mixture's rich. Prop clear. Looking good. So once in a while, better put some brakes on. Once in a while, you'll see me come to this screen where I just have to see some instruments as I go along. So just hang in there. And I'm going to move this map over on another screen where I can see it very easily. All right. I'm going to come around where the rest of you are. Today we're not calling the tower and getting clearance, which normally would be done, because all of us would have chatter on our radios. Hey, Kevin. Away we go. We're heading over to runway 25, which is nearby. Just follow me. Now, Elaine, you probably don't hear the engine sounds, but we do in our headsets. So if that's too loud, you guys, then just let me know. I'll pull it back a bit.
I don't feel deprived.
So it's not far away. It's just up here. Might even be where Planted Tomatoes is. In fact, should be right up here. Now, here's one way to find out. Right here, we're going to be taking off on this runway right here. There we go. So I could have gone right here. It's probably better. I don't need to be way back here. That's all right. Let's just get over there. I'll do a little shortcut here. There's the actual runway. We'll do it this way. So normally you'd sit here and call the tower and all the rest of it. A lot of you aren't worried about that, and you're not too interested in that stuff. So see if I can find a spot here that's good. Hey, that's better. Okay, I'll sit over here. Now, if we look way down here, there's the runway. All right. So come on up and join me, you guys. We'll take off together. We'll do a parallel takeoff. I'll stay over here on the right. As soon as we're in the air and we're on our way toward Rome, I'm going to let Elaine take over and give us a bit of an idea of what we're in for. There we are, runway 25. And many times I'll be using this view, everybody. Might as well give myself some flaps. And in this view, we can see more of the scenery, all right? Even though it's not a normal view for me to fly in. Let's look back here. Here comes Kevin. Looks like Planted Tomatoes is sitting at 2,000 feet, so I guess he's not with us. But Kevin, thanks for joining us. CDL can't join us tonight, but that's okay. He's with us on the chat, which is great. If you have any questions at all about flying itself, by all means ask CDL. He's a pilot also. I can't type in the chat window, but I can certainly say things out loud as you ask the questions. But mainly the focus today will be on actual flying. You ready to go, Kevin? Let's let her rip. Full throttle. I'm going to come in here for now just because that's what I'm used to for flying. And if you look over here, Kevin's just behind us here, but that's okay. He'll see him in the air. Interestingly enough, I was here the other day, probably late at night, doing a practice run. There we've got speed, we've got 55. Bring the nose up a bit, and we're off. And what's the first thing I should do after that? Gear up. Flaps up. So Kevin will be making a left turn out here. Right about here. 500 feet above. See how interested Elaine is in the flight part of it?
It's okay. I'm catching a quick nap here.
Yeah. So here's we'll do our left turn toward the south, and this is the Ostia coastline, the Ostia beaches. And our original flight plan took us down the beaches and landed at a special beach down the way. Do you want to mention that, Elaine, before I continue on? And Kevin, just follow me. We'll be heading. We're just going to circle this little lake, and then we're heading toward Rome.
Well, it's a story. Actually, we were going to include it in the tour, but it just took so much time to get there. But it was when my friend and I, age 22, just out of university, headed off to Rome. And the first thing we wanted to do was go to the beach. And so we took the subway from Rome to the beach, and it's about half an hour from city center right to Ostia, the city of Ostia. And we headed down the coast, and we saw all the beaches were kind of private. You have to be a member of a private beach, and you can go wherever you want. And we didn't want to pay to go in, so we just kept going until we found a public beach. And it was, we saw it peeking actually through the pine trees, and we saw the water, and we says, okay, let's go. So we headed in there in our teeny tiny little newly bought Italian bikinis, and we're shocked to find that it was a men's nude beach. We were totally overdressed in our itsy bitsy teeny weeny bikinis. And we really didn't know what to do. We find all these men that were there posing and doing whatever they were doing, lying on their towels and sunbathing. And we certainly were the center of attention. So we were uncomfortable. We started walking. We continued walking down. We passed the men's beach, and we hit the women's nude beach. So we were still overdressed. Continued walking, and further down there was the family nude beach, where we stayed and swam. That's the story.
Right around there, Elaine. Between the military airport and the canal here. It's right around that area, but we couldn't go there.
You see
We've got to
anybody
focus.
not wearing a bathing suit?
But we did tell everybody to pack lightly. One thing I didn't mention to them was, by the way, before the flight, we should go to the washroom. This is a 2-seater, and there's no washroom. We'll be stopping at 2 places. We'll be stopping at Circus Maximus for a landing challenge, and we'll be stopping, in the end, we'll be stopping at St. Peter's Square. And in both times, you could actually take a washroom break if you need it. So right now, Kevin, I'm flying around 2,700 feet, but I want to get lower as I get closer to Rome. And in fact, we could follow the river, you guys, and we could even follow the flight plan, but we're just doing a VFR flight, visual flight rules. We're just seeing where we're going, and we're just going there. And typically, this is the view that we would have. Now, I'm going to stay somewhere around 2,000 feet, and as I get closer to Rome, which is over in that direction there, we're going to drop down to around 500 feet. Now, I just want to warn you, everybody, that that is not allowed in airspace above any city. We have to be minimum 1,000 or more. And then for consideration reasons and noise reasons, we'd want to be higher than 1,000. But we're not going to see much at 1,000 feet. So I'm going to do the daredevil thing and fly around 500 and at some points 300 feet above Rome so we can see the sights. And I will be pausing at certain points so that we can give Elaine enough time to speak about it without her having to rush her words. All right. So, and then when I do pause the plane, which is a nice feature of the simulator, I'm going to be using a drone to go down and look at that attraction at the moment. So, Elaine, in this moment now, do you want to explain more about what to expect and what we're headed for?
Yeah. Kind of a follow-up to my story, though. I think one thing I did learn about the Italians, and at the time it was uncomfortable, but I kind of grew with it over the years, is that they're not modest at all. I mean, they don't see anything wrong with nudity or openness, and they're pretty well that character in everything they do. They don't hold anything back. If they're happy, you know it. If they're sad, they know it. If they're angry, you really know it. And it kind of grows on you, but it's not easy to get used to at the beginning, especially if you're from British parents. Okay, so I don't know whether you can put the map up of Rome, can you? In
Sure.
Google? Huh?
We could do that. It's not ready to put up, but I didn't. That's okay. We can
We've
put it
looked
up.
at it before, and it might be interesting to help them figure out what's going on. We're interested basically in the ring road around Rome.
Okay. So I'll bring this map over. Like that. I'll put it up in the corner, everybody, because I got to see where I'm going. And let's zoom in for Elaine here.
Okay, I don't know if, Howard, you can point the ring road out with your cursor.
So this yellow one right here.
All around is a ring road that, with all the different yellow roads that you see coming in towards the center, you know, when they say all roads lead to Rome, that's, you actually see them coming in there. And that's how people get around the city without going through the middle of the city. It's just the highway that goes around and connects it. However, what you saw in that picture is habitation all the way up to that ring road and past it. That's how big the city is. Now the map just disappeared, but I did want you to see that only the tiny little circle in the middle is the historic center, which is what we're going to be looking at. That's where tourists go. So if you can, Howard, point to that little section.
Sorry, every time I click on my airplane to fly, it gets rid of the Google map. So let's bring that back up.
Okay, if you can show where the tourist attractions are.
So
right.
a good way to remember is there's the Vatican, and they only highlight a couple things we're going to be seeing, but this is the heart of it, right in here.
Yeah, you see all those things.
This whole area right here.
That's the tourist section. And
Castel St. Angelo will be landing at St. Peter's Square, believe it or not. The only time you can do that is in the simulator.
all those little highlighted areas are tourist attractions. So basically that's where we're going. Although Rome extends way past the borders of that circular road and it's huge, we're only dealing with the center. And they call it the centro, C-E-N-T-R-O, centro. They put a C-E is always a C-H. So they just see, so you'll see signs everywhere with an arrow that says centro, because that's where all the tourists are going. And that's where all the businesses too are conducted. A lot of the main businesses of the city are conducted there. So it's very, very condensed. The monuments and tourist sites that you're going to see are all within walking distance of each other. So it might be not a lot of flying for you guys that are passionate about getting your airplane and getting there, but you may be on hold a bit while we discuss things. One thing you'll notice though, and just to give you a heads up on the monuments and the beautiful things that you're going to see in the city, all come down to about 2 time periods, 3 counting the modern day. So the 2 time periods are the ancient past of Rome, which is 2,000 years ago. And that's when you hear about the Roman Empire, and they left all things like the Colosseum and all these monuments that everybody goes to see. But that they were only kind of in use for about 200 years, 300 maybe. And then through one thing and another, battles, fires, whatever, the Roman Empire died. And so we will see those remnants, and that's one time period of the major monuments. The second time period is around the 1300s, 1400s, and that's just after the Middle Ages, when it was a very dark period in history and a lot of death and destruction and fighting, and all of a sudden Italy came to life again, and they called it the Renaissance. You've probably heard that word, but the Renaissance was coming out of the dark period, and they called it rebirth. That's what Renaissance means, is rebirth. And it was a rebirth of the arts, it was a rebirth of life, it was a rebirth of learning, and the city just exploded. All the theater and all sorts of a different way of life other than focusing on survival. So they came out with some of the most beautiful historic works of art, and you would hear of artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci, Bernini. These guys created these beautiful monuments that you're going to see. And, you know, I don't want to dwell on kind of history, but they do deserve the credit for what they did. Mainly, these artists were struggling to survive on their own, and it was the church that would hire them to do these great works of art, because after so many years of a dark past, they wanted to make Rome beautiful. After all, that was the heart of the Catholic faith. So the sponsors, the ones who paid the bill, the ones who hired them, were always the Pope and the church and the cardinals.
So if I could interrupt just for a minute, Elaine. Below us is a train terminal. You'll see it right now. We're just passing over it, right there in the white. That's a train terminal, and we're going to follow this train track all the way into Termini, which is their main terminal in the heart of Rome. Over here, you'll see a bridge, and Kevin, don't try to go through it. I've already tried. As with many bridges in Flight Simulator, they look great, but they're not transparent. So that looks gorgeous. Here, we'll have an overhead view here. I just wanted to warn you ahead of time because it sure looks inviting, doesn't it? That's a gorgeous bridge. So we're going to just head down the train tracks. Actually, sorry, let's go this way. Let's go find the Termini, and then from there on, Elaine gets to guide us through Rome. I just have to get us there.
So basically, when you land in Rome at Leonardo da Vinci Airport, you would get on a train that takes you directly to the center of Rome, to the train station called Stazione Termini. And from there, you would see all of the people lugging their luggage to the cheap hotels that are around the train station, or a little bit further out. An interesting thing to note as we get in closer, you're going to see that there aren't any skyscrapers. As you enter the city, Rome had within the confines of the city, Rome had a rule that you couldn't have more than 5 stories. As you get further on in the outskirts, they relaxed that. But in the city, everybody, if you'll notice, there are no houses. Everybody lives in an apartment. The land is really scarce, so they build upwards. It's not unusual. It's just the way you are. But their apartments are basically condos like we have nowadays. They're a full home, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms. Sometimes an entire family with lots of kids will have 6 bedrooms. And that's the way their life is.
So Elaine, we're coming up on the Termini, and it's just around the corner. And our first stop will be Piazza Repubblica. And I'll be pausing there just so we can, once in a while, we'll put up a photo of the area from when we were on holidays there. Or if we couldn't find a holiday photo, we'll put up a stock photo just so you can get an idea of what it looks like in real life. And I hope you guys won't mind that. We're not going to bore you with 100 home photos of our journey, but we will give you some highlights, because Flight Simulator doesn't have everything in realism. Although the scenery around us right now certainly looks real, doesn't it? This is the terminal coming up. They call it Termini, and it has a lot of platforms. Look at them all. So a mixture of tourists and commuters. Just super busy. I mean, it was so exciting to arrive here, step out of the terminal, and then and the first thing that we'll see is my first impression coming to Rome was this piazza coming up. And here it is, and I'm going to just pause, which is a really nice feature of the simulator. Here's the piazza coming up, and I'm going to pause right over top, like that, and stop. So I'm going to do this a few times. Then
you go.
Then you can see it down below. And what I'll do is I'll just change the view while Elaine talks about it, or we're just going to put up a picture. Now maybe you want to fill them in a little bit about the nature of piazzas. I'm going to leave that up for you.
So Rome has like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of piazzas. Instead of having intersections, they do the roundabouts. But it's not just a roundabout like you see in Britain, that you just go around and there's signs and they branch off. They always have something in the middle, like a fountain, a huge fountain. And it's always going, it's lit up at night, it's a real centerpiece. They'll do that with either a fountain or even a building. And the buildings that they use are the historic buildings, or a beautiful hotel, or a Colosseum, and everybody still drives around the roundabout. And just one of the funny stories is when I hit one of those famous monuments, I was looking for it and I couldn't find it because I was so busy going around the roundabout reading the signs to figure out where the sign was to get to it, that when I looked up I said, whoa, it's right in the middle. I've been driving around it. So I had to drive around it a few more times just to check it out. You'll see a lot of roundabouts, a lot of piazzas. And the piazzas they're amazingly big. I don't know when you can see, look at those cars going by. They're huge. And
there goes Kevin.
There goes the planes.
Kevin just did a low flyby.
There it is on ground level. Are you in the drone now? No.
What's that?
That's not from the drone, is it?
No, this isn't the drone, no. This one I'm not doing the drone on. We're just doing a quick flyby on this one. But there's a picture of Piazza Repubblica. That's probably from this angle, looking at this. And that's the street down there that we're looking at.
The streets branching off.
Now that's not one of our photos from our holidays, but we've got videos too, but we're not going to be showing you guys a bunch of videos from our holidays. We understand. But that's beautiful. I mean, the fountain itself, I mean, this was breathtaking for me to happen upon this right from the start. And I'm going to tell you guys this right now, and I had to figure out whether we're allowed to say this on Twitch, but I have to say, in my first visit to Rome, Elaine would take me to something like this and then make me open my eyes. And just taking all this in, and this thing is huge. The buildings are gorgeous. There's statues and angels, and you get caught up emotionally in the moment and the romance of this eternal city. I would open my eyes and go, holy shit. I can say that. I checked with Twitch. I can say, and you know, these are, we simply, from here on, we simply called it the holy shit moments because I had a few of these as I went through Rome.
Oh,
And-
he had more than a few. There
And
were
then every time I
definitely-
return, it's just like, I forgot how magnificent this is. So the pictures don't do it justice. Certainly the simulator gets us there, but it doesn't do it justice because it is a top-down picture really that we're flying over.
Every time I'd close his eyes and take him somewhere, he knew that something was coming. And it was just so really nice to place him right in the middle of it, right directly in front of it. And then I'd say, okay, open your eyes. And there you go. It was another holy shit moment.
So that's what we call them, holy shit moments. And, we're not trying to swear or anything. It's just that's what it became,
Yeah,
right?
that's what he comes out with when
That's
he's
what I come
surprised.
out with, yeah. So now, from here on, everybody, this becomes very short because there are plenty of things within walking distance. From the Repubblica, there's a palace right here. So I'm just going to go for maybe 3 seconds and stop. And Elaine's going to explain a bit about that, and I've got a couple pictures. We're heading over to the Spanish Steps over here afterwards, all right? So I figured out this...
To the Queer now?
Oh, sorry, what did I say?
Come at Spanish Step.
Well, Spanish Steps is after this, but I'm just saying we're
Okay.
coming here first to the palace, and then we'll come over here to the Spanish Steps. I've designed the flight plan so that there's so many things so close here, the airplane would overfly them. So we're going out to some other site, we'll come back to another site, and I've got it figured out as a nice flow. So hopefully that'll work for you guys. All right. So
these
this-
guys can pause as well.
What's that?
The flyers flying with us can pause as well.
They can pause anytime they want, but Kevin's having a great time. Do you see him up ahead, you guys? That's Kevin. Kevin, if I remember, you're from Puerto Rico. So it's nice of you to join us. Anyone else on the stream that is caught up to us? There's Planted Tomato, but I don't know where he is. That's just Kevin and I for now. And here he comes at us, you guys. And this is the fun about Flight Simulator. Yeah, we can do that. Did everybody wave? Okay, let's get going. All right, so I'll just unpause. And I have to be quick with the pause because the next one is right over here. Look how low we are to the buildings. It makes me a little nervous. Right here. I think I got it. Sort of. Yeah, that's the thing about flying. You got to be quick with the draw. Let's see if I can see it around me. Right around here. There's, oh, it's a little bit further. So it's probably this building right here, Elaine. I was just I was trying not to overshoot it. Here we go. Let's just get over there.
It does have an interior courtyard, so that could
Yeah,
be
and
it
it's
right
got a
there.
bit of a wedge at the end, right? So that's how you can tell it from the air.
So
Right about here.
So this
Right about there.
this building is actually the home of the President of the Republic of Italy. And it was originally the Palace of the King, back when it was a kingdom. And it was taken over by Italy and is now the place where they host all the dignitaries that come to Rome. And as soon as somebody from another country comes and stays with them inside this palace, can you make it bigger? No?
Sure.
So as soon as they come, their flag gets posted outside. You see the Italian flag on top there? Well, their flag will come, and you can tell that there's a visiting dignitary from another state. This is a huge, this picture doesn't show it, but this is another huge piazza. And I guess we don't have a picture with the entire piazza, do we?
No, we
This-
tried to limit how many pictures we're going to show, right?
Yeah.
So,
Rome is built on 7 hills, and this palace is built on the highest of one of them. And so it's got a huge lookout over the whole city. So that means that to get to it, up to this palace, there's a road on either side of it that takes you up the hill and down the hill, back down into the city of Rome. So this huge piazza is constantly it's a thoroughfare to get the cars from one side to the other in front of this big palace. So there's the changing of the guard, and there's all sorts of things happening while all these cars are buzzing by.
so for the
That's
sake
all.
of our, if I can, there's always interesting stories, Elaine, but for the sake of the Twitch channel, you guys, I had to actually find a fig leaf and put it over top of the statue up here. So I have to be careful when we do live streams. So
then-
that was extra preparation today. Is like, oh, we can't show that.
As I mentioned, the Romans are very, they're very immodest, I guess. The opposite of modest.
Is that it? Is that
I
the
don't
word?
know. It works.
You're the English teacher.
It works.
So over here, I can see Kevin. He's paused too while we were talking. He's probably got tired of flying in circles while we're moving here.
Okay.
But let's get moving. We're heading over that way, along here. Pretty much, that's probably the building right there. What's famously called the Spanish Steps, or in Italian, it would be called. Okay, I put her on the spot.
The Scala Spaniel. I don't know.
That's okay. Yeah, she
Well,
really
I
does
just
speak Italian, you guys.
translated
But
Italy, but I don't
probably
know.
to Spania or something like that, right?
Well, the piazza is called Piazza di Spagna. That's in front of it.
I see the piazza already, so I'll just come over there. That piazza right there below me. That's where we're headed next.
So the Spanish Steps is just a bunch of steps, 138 steps going from the lower level up the hill to the top, and at the bottom level there's a fountain. You go up the top, there's a church, and it's the famous hangout for every tourist that goes to Rome. They just love to go to the Spanish Steps and get an ice cream and sit there and rest, because because all the monuments are so close together. They're doing an awful lot of walking in the course of a day from one to the other to the other. So there aren't very many resting places. So the Spanish Steps is it. They all congregate there. The really nice thing about the Spanish Steps is that when spring comes, all the local florists will decorate it with flowers that they just all group together and cover the stairs with flowers. It usually happens around Easter time. And here we are.
Now in the simulator, sideways views are always horrible because these are photographs taken by satellites up above. So when you're flying, looks great. When you're on the ground, okay,
So it's
not
just
so
a
much. So we
church
bring in
above,
some
or
pictures
what
to
is
help
this?
us, right? So first, Elaine, where I'm standing is sorry, what was your question?
Are we on top? Because we look like we're looking over.
No, we're in the drone camera. For those
Okay.
who understand, our plane is up here pausing, which isn't that realistic, but if we had helicopters, I'd use those. So I've paused the plane and I've used the drone camera. So right now we're on a little drone and I've come down to the ground level. Now this looks ugly, but from the sky, it still looks like it's supposed to. But here's what it's supposed to look like right here. There's the actual leaky boat, what I'm in front of
In
right
the
now.
fountain.
All right. I'm actually more over on an angle like
So
over.
it's a fountain of a leaky boat, and apparently they love to do this. Any reason to build a fountain. Apparently, the story is that once the Tiber flooded, the Tiber is the river of Rome, it flooded, and a fisherman lost his boat it ended up in this spot in the flood, this old fishing boat. So they made a fountain out of it to mark the spot where they found the fishing boat. And it's at the base of the stairs, and then the stairs are...
So here we go with our, what I'll call another holy shit moment, right?
Yeah.
Because here's what the stairs look like, everybody. Now, let me just find my way around here, just a minute. So from here, this is what we're looking at, although they don't build the stairs from above, it looks like stairs. But from here, these stairs would go up to this spire and these buildings behind. But this is certainly more gorgeous when you see the real one. Now, Elaine will talk more about it, but these bigger stairs are where they put all their flowers, and all the rest of these stairs is where there are lots of people. You ready for it? You ready for the holy shit moment?
There you go.
Let's fill
That's
it with
what
people.
you find when you go there.
There's what it looks like, and it's just full of life.
So
And
if you
there are
want to get
people-
up the stairs, you can't get up.
Excuse me.
It's a roadblock.
And nowadays, I'm not even sure. I think they even closed that down, right, because of COVID. But this is
Oh yeah.
that would really irk the tourists and even the locals to meet their friends there, because this is the meeting place. All right. Now this is actually the fountain of the leaky boat right here in front of us, but we've zoomed
Fountain
in.
is actually sitting in the leaky boat.
But there are
if you
people
look at the
here,
church-
and there are people here, and there's actually a roadway through here. So it's like this is a happening place.
That church up top, every Christmas they put out a nativity scene, and it's takes up the whole front of the church, and the manger is empty until everybody comes in Rome to see it, and they check out that the manger is empty because it's got to be empty. And on Christmas Day they come to see, and sure enough, the baby's put in the manger. So that's just one of the things they do. Moving on.
Well, what I'd like to do, Elaine, I know we got to move on, but let's just have a quick look from a bird's eye view, what that would look like if you were, say, a pigeon on the roof, So if we just look down, just a minute here.
So many roofs.
There's so many
So
roofs,
little time.
so little time. Yeah, so true. Give me 5. That was a good one. So when we look at when we look at this, you guys, I'm going to just come down here as if I'm sitting on the roof. There's what a pigeon sees, and you get to see people here, cars going by here. You get to see people here all the way down the steps, and then you certainly get to see the beauty of that fountain in the distance, right?
I must say, Hal, though,
Piazza di Spagna.
I don't think
You're
it looks
absolutely
like
right.
that. I don't think it looks like that in real life. In real life, it looks stunning.
It's stunning.
So
that's for sure.
hopefully they'll.
So
come
now,
out
if this were the pigeon view, it'd be like they'd be sitting there right now going, "Brrr, brrr, brrr." She's rolling her eyes.
This is
Okay,
what I live
time,
with.
time to move on.
I
No, I just wanted you to feel like what a pigeon would feel like, but it is an amazing view.
Okay, let's go these.
And look, we've
eyes
got
wanna
the
fly.
explanation right there, Elaine. Piazza di Spagna. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, let's get back in the plane.
Oh, just
Let's
one
move on.
very interesting thing happened in 2007.
Right here.
Well, it doesn't matter. I think it was 2007. Anyway, somebody, a drunk driver, decided to go down the steps
That's right.
in his Toyota Celica, got stuck partway, wrecked a bunch of the stairs that are 200 years old, got arrested. Wasn't a good thing.
Wasn't a good thing. Now, you say a Toyota Celica? That's a big car in
Oh.
Italy. That is outrageous. That to us, that's probably, I don't know what that is,
He
a
was
compact. But in Italy, who would own that?
He probably took the stairs because he couldn't get through the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
The roads are too
That's
narrow.
probably why, yeah. All right, so let's go take a look. I mean, there's so many more things to look at here. There's this beautiful area over here with this grounds behind, but we've got to focus down on 7 or 8 things, right, during this short period of time we're together. So let's continue on now. We're going to turn around and look at 2 sites that are right up by each other that you can walk to. And let's just do a 180 from here. The trees there are the actual Tiber River. We're coming back around, and we're going to focus on, not that, we're going to focus on, in the distance you can see a dome, and that dome is actually the Pantheon. And we're going to just pause in between both the Pantheon and Piazza Navona.
Remember we talked about 2,000 years ago? Well, this is the one that you're going to see. You can actually see it there on your left. You just went.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go a little
That's
bit past it then because I'm the depth, right?
You
I'm on an
notice the
angle.
big hole at the at
And there's
the top?
Kevin doing a flyby. Yeah.
That was their only source of light.
So right there is the Pantheon. Let me just, while Elaine's talking, I'll just jump out of the plane with the drone, send my drone on its way, and we'll go have a look.
We just lost it.
Yep,
There it is.
wherever the drone was.
So, it's the
Maybe I can fly my drone in more stability. There we go.
Okay, you'll notice it's circular. The dome itself is famous. It's probably the heaviest dome ever made, and it has absolutely no beams holding it up. So, built 2,000 years ago, yet they still say they wouldn't be able to make it now. They can't believe that it doesn't cave in. They call it the oculus, the hole in the center, like the eye, and that's what it looks from the inside. It's magnificent inside. So this was originally a pagan temple by the Romans, and when the Roman Empire ceased to exist, the church took it over. And for that reason, that's probably why it's so beautiful, so well maintained. It's survived 2,000 years through the ages. And it's because the Catholic Church, it's a working church, so it has all the ceremonies of a church. And they invest money in keeping it restored. That's it from the outside. Remember, 2,000 years old, not looking too bad for that age, right? It's a huge piazza. The piazza is called Piazza della Rotunda. Rotunda means round because of the round shape of the church. Look at the people below. That tells you how big it is. It looms over you like a monster. It's that big.
I was amazed by the columns themselves.
Yeah.
And each one of these columns made of marble. And all back then, to build something like this just for the entrance, everything there is magnificent. Tiles on the floor and marble everywhere. And then going inside and the echo, it sounds sort of like this, Elaine. Both of us can do this, right? You ready? Go ahead and say something as if we're inside.
Hello.
So Elaine, can you hear me? So you get that kind of echo sound, and it's hard to hear. We actually had someone come out and remind this hundreds of tourists that, by the way, this is still a church. Could you please be quiet? We actually heard that. And then we realized, yeah, that's right. And there's another view there with the sun hitting it nicely. And that's a gorgeous view with the people in the piazza itself. So that's a must see.
Shades of the past.
It's a must see that you have to see. In the early days, it did have some frescoes all along here, right?
Yeah.
Which was gorgeous, right? But, we're limiting our photos here. All right, now, over on the right side of the plane, drive the drone, Howard. So over on the right side of the plane is a social meeting place. Certainly it has history, but this is one of those must-see places when you come to Rome where there's a social life, and especially in the evening with all the fountains lit up. Now, from the air, it doesn't look that great, but this is the big church coming up in the middle of it all, and I'll let Elaine explain more as I hover right over top of it. And then I'll go off camera to get the pictures ready here. But I'm going over top of it just because from the top, it certainly looks better. You see how that almost looks good? That's Piazza Navona. That's the three fountains, right? So over here, Elaine, is one fountain.
Circles, yeah.
And back there is the other fountain, right? So, from the flight simulator, yes, it's there and it's geographically correct. And that big church looms over the middle. And there's some history behind that. But let me just take a picture or get a picture for you here so you can see what we're talking about. So, Elaine, which one do you want first? The one at the far end?
The entire picture, yeah. The entire piazza.
Okay.
Piazza Navona is probably one of the most famous squares in the world.
So we'll
People come and they know of Piazza Navona. No cars are allowed. Totally pedestrian. It's got made up of three fountains, and right in front of the middle fountain is the main one. The two other ones were added later.
So there's the main one right there with the spire in front of the church. And this one is at the far end, the far left, according to our camera up above. And there's one way back there by these buildings at the back.
And the ground is all cobblestone. It's amazing how these cobblestone walkways have lasted forever. The roads too, with the chariots on them, and then all the cars, and they last forever. So that's me in the top there. Is that same fountain?
No,
no, I think that's the different fountain at the other end.
Yeah, it's the other end. So it's confusing, so we won't go in great detail, but this has three major beautiful fountains. And there's some history behind the one in the center, Elaine, so we'll talk about that.
All around it, on the periphery, are restaurants, cafes, also all sorts of businesses, museums. They call them palaces, which were old buildings owned by famous people. So a lot of those windows are actually people that live there. This one, I think, is the church, right? Is it?
Yeah, this is the church, but way back there, right? Sorry, I should bring it back up.
That's way back here, yeah. These windows here are people that live here. So they actually look out sometimes. Now this, you notice the long oblong shape of it is because it used to be in the olden days, it was one of the circuses where the track where they ran their chariot racing. And so later it became kind of an open area, and the church took it over and commissioned two of the most famous artists of the time to design the square and build it. And here's where an interesting story comes. So I'll keep it short, but the main fountain, is the fountain of four rivers that are supposed to represent the four biggest rivers on every continent. And Bernini, who was probably one of the masters of the day, he put his bid in to do the square, to design the square and the church and the whole thing. And they didn't pick him to do that. Instead, they picked him to do that fountain. So his arch rival was chosen to pick the church, to build the church, to design it and build it. And that's what he did. But Bernini was really ticked off. So in one of his sculptures, the one of the man right in front of the church, you can actually see him. He's holding his hand like this in a gesture to say, you picked the wrong guy and that church is going to fall on me. So do you want to show it up close? I don't know if you can see the guy there. Make a bigger one there. So you see the guy's hand? Show. There you go. Isn't that something else? Bernini was not happy. There you go. Moving on.
Yeah, there's so much more you could talk about, but that's fine. You got a feel for why you would go there. Now, I didn't show a nightlife shot, but artists everywhere. You can get portraits taken, of course, and then everybody's gathering and chatting. It's just
at Christmas time,
the ambience of Italy right there.
Totally filled with the best Christmas market. People go there and buy all their gifts for the entire family. So it's the main social area. We're heading to Tiber Island, I believe.
Yeah, that's right in the flight plan. Yeah.
So the main river, every main city is built on a river. So the Tiber is Rome's river, and it kind of snakes its way through the city. And this one island actually is right in the middle of it. It divides the river, which goes around it, and it's always existed. And they've always had a bridge that links it to the land on the other side.
Just a moment ago.
So Kevin, we're just heading over to the right and following the river, and we're going to pause right over top of the Tiber Island.
So 2,000 years ago, they found that island was interesting. They built their original bridges to access it. And they built a temple there, one of the Roman temples, to one of the gods of healing and medicine. They dedicated it to that. That temple actually served at one point as a shelter for people trying to seek shelter from the plague, because the population was dying, and the healthy people would actually run to Tiber Island and seclude themselves inside the temple to avoid, kind of like COVID nowadays, huh? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Scary, isn't it?
Comes back to haunt. So over the years, with the Romans no longer using it, the ancient Romans, it actually became a hospital. So the pagan temple turned into a hospital, which exists even today. So Tiber Island, it's kind of dedicated to medicine.
So what I'd like to show everybody, I'm just coming around to a quick view here. I want to show everybody what it looked like in the ancient days, and it's remarkable, the sculpture of it all. Let me just come around from this bridge. It's probably the best way to sit down.
There's your island with the Tiber on either side. You see the bridges in the background there?
What I'd like to show them, Elaine, is just get this ready.
So that was then.
Just a minute, I got to put it up there.
This is amazing thing to see. Tiber Island.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. So
we've put together this little short video.
Yeah.
Have a
That
look.
was then.
Take a look at that. I'm going to pause it right there. So this was the actual structure that was there. This is just a transparent overlay on top of the island, you guys. There's the two bridges. And now we'll
You
peel
see
it back and come back to, well, more modern times anyway.
Yeah. This is now. So drop
And
it
there's
down
what we have
again. Let
now.
them see. Then and now.
Yep.
Oh, you just took it off.
Yeah, we just did. Did you see it?
I said let
Was
them
it-
see it again back and
Oh,
forth.
I'm
but
sorry.
Sometimes it
So let's just come
reinforces.
back here for a second. I don't know if it
Okay,
does it
so-
twice.
So this is
I only did
now
it once when
and-
I filmed it, so
Yeah. Oh, never mind.
no, we're under something else.
Sorry. Okay. We saw it.
That's all right. I had it queued, but we'll move on. That's all right.
I'm a visual learner. I like to see it a second time and focus when I know what I'm looking at.
No worries. So let's come back now. So that's Tiber Island. So again, it's all about how much time do we have to show you each one. I mean, you could spend half a day just listening to tour guides about the history and all the rest of it, but we're just doing a condensed version here. Now we do have an airplane that could land on the Tiber, but there's so many bridges that are not transparent that I don't think it would be a good thing. Well, there we are. I hear us going way up. We're right here. And there's Kevin Paz behind us. You're so patient, Kevin. I know you want to fly. So here's the challenge, you guys. For everybody watching, we're about to go land at our first landing and take a quick washroom break for anybody who needs one, because these airplanes don't have a washroom. Do you see right ahead of me where the pointer is? This is a famous landmark, but we're going to land there because it's an empty field right now, but it is a short field landing. So we're going to have to come in real slow, full flaps, try and stop before we hit the end. All right, and then right after that, we'll be going to look at one of the most famous areas of Rome. All right, so the
Okay,
first
raise
challenge here. Here's our challenge. Are you up for it, Kevin? It's hard to chat while you are flying. So I get it. So, all right, so let's go back into the plane.
So raise your hand if you ever heard of chariot racing. Well,
Look
this
at all
is-
the
this-
hands raised.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Good for you guys.
We can't see any. How do you do hand raises? Hey. so we're gonna
So
we're
this
gonna
is where it was done.
so we're gonna unpause. I'm gonna try first attempt without even preparing. Look at that. Oh, he's just a visitor. He sees us pausing. There's another one. Oh no, there's Kevin. He's going in. He's going in, you guys.
Okay. Let's see if he
Kevin's
makes
going
it.
in. Look at him.
There you
I
go.
don't know. So I'll come in behind him. I'm taking it slow. I'm dropping power completely. I'm hoping I don't stall. Get down nice and low. Don't clip the buildings, because you will actually clip the buildings and trees. Doesn't look good, you guys. I don't know. Maybe I put some gear down, right, CDL?
Did Kevin make it?
I think he made it. I think he bumped into the monument. Down hard. Hard and brake. No. Floating, not good. Normally I would go around. I'm going around. So go around, you guys, means you're coming in too hot. He made it.
Oh,
You
he
see him
did
down
better.
there? Over the tree. Ooh! Get going. Full power. It's a real climb here, I'll tell you. I just made it. Oof.
Oh.
I'm good. And we're on to the next one. So what happened there was I wasn't focusing on what we were doing. That's what happens. And I have no idea where we are. So I'll just find the river, come back around. So what happened there was my drone controller was on my lap and I hit it and it gave me full power. So I'm coming in for a landing with a full power. So that's what happens in live sessions, you guys. Yes, I am a real pilot. Honestly, truly, I just have to prove it. So I'm going to just give some flaps now. I've got some lower power, flaps to land, and we won't waste time on this. If I don't do it this time, then we'll move on. Kevin's already there waiting, going, come on, Howard, what's the big deal?
Why don't we skip the landing and just move on?
No, because it's the most exciting part. I know it's not exciting for you, but it is for Kevin and I and CDL and anyone else who loves flying. Full flap, don't hit the trees, don't float. I'm still at 72 knots, so it may not work, you guys, if I don't bounce. I'm trying to get down hard and hit brakes like that. Don't bounce. There we go, that'll work. I can stop. That's kind of hairy. And I hit a bump right there. Oof. But I'm going to make it. And Kevin just made it too. Someone else is trying to come in and going, those guys are crazy. I'll just turn around here. Not much room to spare. Hey, Kevin, we made it. 2 for 2. There's no shame in going around, you guys, no matter if you're experienced or not. I was coming in too hot the first time, and I'd had some problems with the drone. All right, so from here, it's time for a break. Do you want to talk about this area, Elaine, while I take the drone out?
No, I think I'll take the break too, if that's okay.
Okay, you take the break. I'm going to talk about the area. We'll see you in a minute.
Well done, Kevin.
Yeah, it's cool that you did that. And there we both are. There's our planes right there. Now, just as an example of what this is, I want you to remember some of the movies where we had chariot races. And that's exactly what happened here. This was the chariot races from a lot of the movies. I don't know if they actually filmed it here because it doesn't look like it anymore. But the stands would be along here where you see this ridge. And at the very end, you see one turning point where I guess we should go there to take off again, right? So Kevin, you might want to make your way down here, and I will too. We're going to take off from here and go the same way we came in, because that's the low point back there. And you see some of the people coming in going, what are those guys doing? But here, again, is the point where they would sit and watch the show, all right, just to give you an idea. And that way they can see both ends of the chariot race as they go along. This fellow up here is looking for press time. He's saying, what stream are you on? Am I getting any press? So what I'm going to do just to get ready to move on, because I know Elaine wants to move on without boring you guys with too much time on each one. Kevin and I are just going to jump back in the plane, and we're going to head flaps up. We're going to head over to where Kevin's already headed. By the way, that Balto is actually Kevin's handle. So when I keep saying Kevin, I mean Balto. And I'll tell you, it is remarkable that I was here practicing the other day. I think I started to tell you the story. I was here practicing the other day just to make sure I could figure out the flight plan. I landed at St. Peter's Square, and next thing you know, Kevin comes in. And he comes and lands with me. It must have been 2 in the morning. And I'm going, Kevin? But you can't speak to each other. So we pull in beside each other at St. Peter's Square, and we started flapping our rudders, flapping our flaps, anything we could move just to say hi, flashing our landing lights. And that was our communication, and it was quite a moment. So here in Flight Simulator, in this virtual environment, we actually met up at St. Peter's Square and went in for a landing, which we'll be doing later. So that was remarkable, Kevin. We really enjoyed that. He's got the same plane I do. This is the Icon A5 Amphibious. So Elaine, we're going to now pause, or we're going to go to the next attraction, which is right over top of the Colosseum. Dun, 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 dun. That's where we're headed next. She's saying, get on with it, Howard. I can tell by your eyes. So we're going to do a short field takeoff. Kevin's ready to roll. I've got my brakes on, full power. Check my instruments. Right here. And we've got good. We're in the green. Everything's in the green. We're good. So I'll let go of the brakes. We're going to try and get up before the trees. You saw me struggling the last time. I think I even clipped a branch on the way up. But I still seem to be flying. Kevin's already on the roll, and so am I. We've got speed. Kevin's on positive rate of climb. He's going to make the trees. Before that bump at the end, I want to pull up a little on the nose gear. I'm rotating, and I'm over the bump, and I'm climbing without stalling. For those of you who care about the flight part of it, as long as I don't go below 45 knots, I'm still flying. All right? Give myself a bit of height. Now we're just turning to the left, Kevin, over the Colosseum. You might see a big round building over there, over that way. So we've cleared everything. We're good. We're coming back around now, and we're going to pause over top of Colosseum, the most famous landmark in Rome. And I'm going to do probably a clockwise holding pattern above it, and then I'll actually stop and get out the drone. All right, so we can see what that looks like, everybody. So here it is, the most famous landmark of Rome. Go back a bit of power.
Probably one of the most famous landmarks in the world. No matter what country you're in, you know what country this.
So there it is. We're actually going to go inside, you guys, because that's something you would just want to see once. All right, you got to at least see once. I'm going to try and fly this thing.
This is 2,000 years old. It didn't fare as well as the Pantheon.
Let me just look ahead for a minute. See what I'm doing. I got to make sure I'm flying okay. Get control of the airplane. I could actually gear up at this point. So there it is, everybody, and we're going to take a closer look at the drone because it's awfully hard to do with an airplane. And you wouldn't be able to fly this low with an airplane?
When you take note of the area around it, it's a road. It's a road where all the cars go. People go circle it on their way to work or going shopping. It's this, this is one of the ones I was telling you about, one of the monuments that I was looking for, and all of a sudden I'm going around it. I come out of a road and end up right in front of the Colosseum, and I'm circling it around and around. All the cars are going there.
Here's the road here going all the way around like this. And it's packed with people and lineups to get inside. And then over here, we're going to use the drone to come over here and look at the ruins while we're here. Right, so let me just come back around, and then you can take it from there again.
So the original emperor who commissioned the Colosseum to be built had it built 3 stories high. Then when he died and his son took over, he had to better his dad, so he built the 4th layer.
So let's take the drone down and just walk through these gates that are here and go inside the building. Let's just go see what it looks like, everybody. Oh, way over here. And there's someone else flying through illegally. Actually, I guess I left the drone too far away from the plane, so sorry, everybody. But let's get there. We're almost there. Now, while I'm getting there, I'm going to also show you, again, another one of those transparency flip charts that are really handy to show you a picture of what it looks like once we're inside. So now this area here, matter of fact, let's do this one first, Elaine. This area here, the square in front of it, got a flip chart for that. Just find it.
That's it nowadays. Right?
Right here. Colosseum. Oh, let's just make that big because I'm paused anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so here's an idea of what it looked like. There it is now, or similar to now, and there's what it looked like back in the day.
See the 4 stories?
Yeah, and there's a story behind that. Another one of the emperors built 4th story hundreds of years later.
I think I read that the copper around the top was pillaged to create one of the other monuments in the modern day in the 1500s to make St. Peter's, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they had earthquakes and stuff that helped destroy it, but they just went in and stole stuff like marble and whatever they needed.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go through these gates right here. And we're going to go inside and have a look, see what it looks like. I think this doorway here is open. We can go in here. Right here. Let's go this way.
Oh.
And here we are walking inside. Now I'm going to come around where there's a safe platform for us to stand on, right around here. Right there. And let's just sit ourselves down here and have a look at this.
When I came here the first time and I went in, I didn't know what I was seeing. All you see is a bunch of rock, and you can't figure out all this on the bottom. You just can't figure out what it was. But I think your flip charts will explain it.
Okay. That's my cue, you guys.
That's
I got the cue.
Yeah.
I got the look. Yeah. She's in the same studio. So here we see a look inside, the same view we've got right now. And you'll notice that when we what did it look like before?
Oh, there was a floor there.
There was a complete floor. Underneath here is all of the engineering marvel of Rome. I mean, they have so many ingenious things. And so what I want to mention, I mean, the part I really want to mention myself is that reading about this stuff and doing the research about what happened under here, these are all passageways for the gladiators, for the cells to hold all the lions. And they had this, to me, it was an engineering feat. They had this whole labyrinth of gates and areas where they could lift open and close and to get the right animals up onto the surface at the right time. I mean, it was just amazing how they did all this for, of course, the entertainment of the patrons. And I think this held 50,000 people at the time. of course, they were all stone seats, but
Yeah.
but it was like this was their big dome. This was
Can
their
you
big
put that
sports
up
event,
again
right?
so they can see?
The after, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, the before, yeah,
The
like this.
before. You can see all the seats around, and apparently you got to sit according to how important you were. So that all the nobles and the wealthy would be on the ground level so they could see it. And then the politicians came next, and then all the peasants were on top. But, just so you know, I think it's a common fact, accepted fact, that this is where they used it to throw the Christians to the lions, which probably had a grain of truth. But it was
They did
also,
this. They did the.
yeah.
They'd ask the crowd, right,
Well,
up
we
or
don't
down.
know if that's Hollywood or not, but
That's what I saw in a movie.
I know. but actually it was also the center of entertainment for the city. So they would throw theatrical things, circuses, all sorts of things for fun. All the festivities came here, and the people could come and rejoice in different times of the year. So it was a centerpiece for social life. Now, I just do want to tell my one little story. When I came the first time, and I'd heard the story about the Christians and the lions and whatever. And when I started walking down through those columns there at the bottom, I started to look around because I could actually smell the lions. And I got kind of spooked. And then all of a sudden I see these cats coming out. This is where the cats of Rome, the wild cats of Rome live. So it was cat smell, it wasn't lions.
It was so appropriate, though, right?
I
It's
can't
like
say
I could
was
almost smell it.
disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could almost smell them, the
You get right in
lions.
the
It
moment.
was so real life.
Here, let's go out this door here. As you can see, flight simulators certainly can't build them all until they make what's called a handcrafted city, where they start building things that people will want to see by hand. All the artists would get in here and make this into some gorgeous thing. But even now, with this kind of scenery, let's go outside here, and let's just hop up on the street and get a view from the outside. And let's just turn around and see where we just came from.
So there's where the cars would be going.
So you can see this is the actual street where the cars are zooming by. Everybody's flying by the Colosseum. And like any city that you're used to, the attractions, you probably don't notice it anymore. You just know this is your route to work. And we sat and studied traffic in Rome for 2 weeks before I even attempted driving in Rome, and watched their patterns and how they drove. And let me just say this about driving in Rome: there are no turn signals, and you drive by your mirrors.
And red lights, they're colorblind. They don't stop.
They're colorblind, yeah. I mean, you drive by your mirrors, because there'll be motorbikes on both sides of you who will come up to the front of the pack and head off before you, even before it's green.
Plus, they don't put lanes. For every car has its own lane. There's no lanes.
There's no reason for it.
They just fill a space wherever it is. And so when you go through
There goes Kevin.
a major intersection, and they're all mishmash on the road anyway, and they're meeting the other guys because they don't stop for the red, and it's all intertangled. It's a mess.
All right, next, and I'm sorry to say next, I mean, you could spend half a day here
Yeah.
if you went on, tour. We're coming over here beside it. Matter of fact, the next few attractions are right here in this one area right here, right? And so the next thing we're going to look at, I'm just going to stick with the drone, because this is,
I think that we could actually make this a quick one, though.
yeah, but how's our timing?
It's
All right, we'll make it a quick one. So here, we'll just do it from this angle. Way in the distance there, if I can zoom in. No, I can't zoom with the drone. But way in the distance there is some remnants or leftovers or pieces of stone. And people go, what is all these ruins for? Well, the Romans treasure the past and the history of their city. And
the
even
present-day Romans.
present-day Romans,
Yeah.
absolutely. And back when, even when they're building a subway, as they're working on subways and drilling holes, if they find an artifact, things stop for 3 months while they get cleared with the permit, all the different things
So
they got to
remove
clear.
the artifact.
And
You
they'll
don't
take
drill
that
through it.
artifact and they'll actually dig the subway around the artifact
Oh, yeah.
and then put a piece of glass in front of the artifact. And that's how much they treasure this stuff. And so they've left this here to show us, and I just want to give you a quick picture of what that looks like, to show us what that looked like back in the
Actually,
day.
how you realize that that Colosseum wouldn't be standing if they tore down everything that was old?
That's
I
true,
think,
right?
you know, that's what we do. We don't have our history out on the street. They do. They live it every day around their history.
So here, let's have a quick look at the ruins while we're here, you guys.
So basically, what was here? Here was all these forums are where the Roman city actually existed. So every ruin here was part of a building. So they had where they lived, where they governed, where they shopped. Everything was in these forums. So Howard's going to show you
Before.
the before. And they actually know what every little ruin was a part of.
Kind of jumped there, but you'll see it come back. But I mean, look at the kind of buildings that were there, and here's what's left.
Here's what's left.
And to even figure out what used to be there is just
2,000
amazing.
years later, how many wars, how many floods, how many fires.
There's another angle, you guys. So the white parts are what's still standing.
Yeah,
Remarkable, isn't it?
yeah. And at about that time, the Romans invented cement. And once they invented cement, they were able to make arches. Up until that time, the arch didn't exist. So now you see that they made their aqueducts out of cement, and everything was made of cement, because once they discovered the arch, like, wow, it was, possibilities were endless. And they made use of it. You see arches everywhere.
Let's get back in the plane. For sake of time, we'd love to just dwell here, but we're going to get back in and get going. We've got a few more to cover, so just hang in there. And we've got a landing to do at St. Peter's, right, Kevin? So let's continue on. Let's see where I am. I'll just come back around the Colosseum. Why not have one last look on the way through? Oh, that's awesome. Here. Better pull up.
Whoa. That's cool.
Yeah. So now the next thing we're going to look at just up the road here is something a lot newer that didn't come from that time period. And this one is called...
So actually, don't say anything. Let them
Okay.
have a look.
All right, let's have a look first.
This is one of those holy shit moments when Howard saw it. It doesn't really do it justice here. But trust me, this thing towers way above your head.
Making sure I'm driving okay, flying okay. There we go. All right, let's come back around because I had to get oriented again. Just a minute, you guys. I'll come around this way. Awfully hard to do in such a short space, but here we go. Now, the sun isn't working so right. Let me just change this so we get the better view here. See if we can just lighten up the thing. I cannot get the sun on the face of it even. Look at that. It's always in the shadow for some reason.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Because that's normally a very white building, you guys.
Well, you'll just have to show them the photo.
So let's just show you the picture. Here's what it would look like in real life. I mean, this is magnificent. I'm standing right now, this picture, I'm standing, bear with me for one moment. Oh, can't go there. Okay, so never mind where I'm standing.
Yeah.
So there's a piazza here, huge piazza with cars going all around. You can see them down here. And standing here looking at the thing, you can tell by the size of the people here and the size of the people here, this thing is just, that was a holy shit moment. It's like, they built
And-
something like that?
There is the typical roundabout, so you come in from a side street, not expecting anything, and there's a bunch of fountains on each corner. So you're kind of looking at the fountains, and you take a few steps, and there it is. And it's not, you can't unsee it. Once you've seen it, you're staring, your mouth is open, and you get, oh my
So
gosh.
there's the piazza where the flowers are to show the Italian flag, and that's where I was standing to take the picture. And there's someone landing. Is that Kevin? Oh, he did a touch and go. Nice work. So let me just show you something without getting the drone out. The drone takes a bit of time here. So you notice these are all markings on the road. Those are real markings. These are all not necessarily lanes. They're just saying from here you should be going there or there. They're not going to tell you how many lanes. And you would go around the thing, or you'd go off on this major road or this major road, or this is Via del Corso in the middle, right? We're going to fly down that one. But the point is, this is so huge. We sat back here underneath this awning in the shade with a couple of cappuccinis, and we were having a look at the beauty of this thing, which was just amazing. So this is the last time I'll do this, Elaine, but you're going to have to bear with me because there's something I really got to do here. I just can't help it. And that is, I got to get over here real quick and just do one thing.
You're going to buzz the tower.
No, I can't with a drone. No, I'm not going to buzz the tower. I'll just wait for someone to be drinking coffee, right? And then I'll go buzz the tower. All right, so I'll reserve that for Kevin because I think he's already in the air. So I'm just going to come on top of this just to show you the view because that's where we're going to be going. And then right over top of this building, we're going to be showing you one more thing before we move on. So here's the view from on top of the building. And you can see that this is why, I mean, it's so magnificent. Let me just see if I got this right. So I'm going to be right here. Right there. Okay, so I'm going to sit here. So there I am on top of the building, just like a pigeon would be. You ready for it? I just wanted to, I can't do it with a straight face. I just wanted you to feel what that feels like. Anyway, let's come over.
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day, yes. All right, so I want to come over here and show you one more thing, which is on our itinerary before we head off to the last two things of the tour.
So,
right,
we still haven't talked about that.
I know, but I'm going to go there.
All right.
Well, I already got the drone, and I'm just.
No, you didn't talk about the monument.
Oh, right.
Go back. Bring it back.
How about this? Yeah. How about this?
So the first time I was on a tour, before I even brought Howard, back in the day, I took one look at that and I said, my gosh, that's got to be the most beautiful building in the world. And the Italian who was my tour guide said, you got to be kidding. He was a Roman and he hated it. And I couldn't believe how you could hate anything so beautiful. I mean, it just every area that you go to behind it, everywhere, it's just so detailed. And he said, it was built 80 years ago. It's not, it's built in an old style, but it's a fake. It's not part of today's architecture. And he said, and it's white, and it stands out, and it's huge, and it's ugly, and it's monstrous, and it says all about me. It's all about me. And they said, the rest of Rome is all about blending in and working in harmony, and this is stealing everybody's thunder. And they hate it. And the nickname for it is the wedding cake. So you can understand that, why they hate it, but it's still beautiful.
And there's Elaine having a drink from one of the thousands of fountains that are drinking water.
Yeah.
Flowing all the time, all over Rome.
Yeah.
When we were trying to take a break in the shade here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're filling their water bottles. We're doing it the Roman way.
Yeah.
Right? Let it fall in your hand and drink it.
Yeah.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, moving on.
Moving on. So right up this street to the side here is a very important part of Rome, although there's something very unique about how it was designed, which I'm going to let Elaine explain to us. Right down this side right here. We're going to come over here where it's a bit easier to look at. Right about here. Right behind us. See if I can get a good view. Right. Get oriented. It's got to be right up this hill. All right. Can't see it from here. Got to come up further. That's what it is. I'm missing it because I'm not on the right angle. Let's come over to this street. It's right behind the monument, but let's just have a look.
Oops.
Right here. Now there's something very unique about this. I'm going to get run over. You don't stand here on a street, but I'm going to do it this time. Something's going to run me over. Take a look at those steps up ahead, and I'm going to let Elaine explain. Well, from a distance in Flight Simulator, it looks better. When you get closer, it's kind of ugly, right?
Oh, okay.
So now we'll show you a picture of it, but those steps are very unique. You want to mention about it now, Elaine, while I find the picture?
Okay. This was another one of Michelangelo's masterpieces.
The actual stairs.
Well, The whole thing. He did the whole thing. He
Okay,
designed
but I
whole
find the
thing.
stairs unique
But-
because see how they look parallel right now?
Yeah.
By design.
Yeah.
They should be looking like they go off into the distance
You know,
a little.
you know how when things go off in the distance, it's like the railroad tracks disappearing, getting narrower. These stairs do not, because Michelangelo didn't want them to look like that. He wanted them to be perfectly parallel, so he chose to make them not parallel, and he countered the look of perspective by making them wider at the top.
So
So
this actually shows it because it is a satellite photo. It is wider up top than it is on the bottom to counteract that street view to make it look straight all the way up.
okay, so can you put the picture up and you let them see the actual stairs?
Sure.
This is what people see. Do you
That's how
notice they
big it
don't
is.
get wider? They're the same. They look like they're the same all the way up.
That's a little harder to see that perspective, but yeah, it's the way he designed it was so that it didn't look like it went the
They're the
distance.
unparalleled stairs. And it also just, you're going up to the top and you look like you're seeing a building at the top. You notice you're just going to bump right into a building at the top. There's the two statues of David. Once again, Rome that's not too modest about nudity. And anyway,
Oh, right. Okay, let's move on to the next picture.
So, this is what you see once you get there. You see how far away it was? He was actually hiding the fact that that building, there was actually a piazza inside there.
And
You
what's-
didn't know till you stepped into it.
And what's
All
in
of a
here,
sudden-
Elaine?
Huh?
Just the Campidoglio, what's in here?
Oh, well, this building this is your city hall, basically. You can come here and get married if you want. So it's the city hall of Rome, but Rome is also the capital of Italy, so these buildings on the side actually do some federal work as well. So that's called Campidoglio. It's on built on one of the hills of Rome.
And there's the design you saw in the photo. Still, it shows up on the satellite photo too.
So it's
So you'll notice.
Michelangelo playing tricks with perspective. That's
So you'll notice that where we are here at Campidoglio, right beside us is the monument, which is the newest kind of building that the Romans say doesn't fit in. Over here is the ruins, which is going back 3,000 years. I don't know. You know more detail than I do.
2000. The
And then
Romans
there's
were
the
2000.
Colosseum that we just saw back there.
Yeah, and this is in the 1500s. Remember?
And then there's the Colosseum.
Michelangelo's
So
in the
all of this right in
1500s.
a row is a lot of important stuff right here.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. For the sake of time, I know we're
So
like, we
this
could
is
talk on
called
forever.
Campidoglio. These unparalleled steps and that whole piazza up there is called Campidoglio, which was for the Romans. It's one of the key points that they often have to go to City Hall for things, and that's where they go, Campidoglio. But it's considered, the area around is one of the most romantic places to see because there's so many lookout points that look out over Rome.
So now, Elaine, I'm going to go straight down Via del Corso, and I'm going to stop along the way for one quick look at a famous
Yeah,
landmark.
yeah.
All right. So we're going to head down from the monument straight down this street. We're going to a piazza right here, but along the way, we're just going to stop here and just have a quick look over here.
Yeah, well, I think all of you know what it is. It's the Trevi Fountain. Can't get any bigger, can it?
Yeah.
Or you need to be able to see.
I need to see it's going to put me in the air when it comes out,
Uh,
and I got to be able to fly it as soon as it's there.
yeah. It's another fountain that's from the period of the 1500s, the period of the Renaissance. It's again where everything is very harmonious and pleasing, and people actually look like people. They don't, in the Dark Ages, they looked very stiff and the anatomy wasn't correct. This is again, it's just there's not a lot to see. What it's famous for is the coin in the fountain. So it's been made famous by Hollywood, and believe it or not, there's probably in the foreground of when this picture was taken, there would have been maybe 4,000 people there struggling to get a picture of it. It's maybe the most popular site in Rome.
Just swarms of people in front of it,
Oh
all
my
throwing
gosh.
coins. You know, this is a good time for me to say that this channel, just to keep it alive, this would be a good time to go hit that donate button if you want for a one-time donation, or subscribe if you wish. Elaine's rolling her eyes, right? Saying,
Yeah.
Howard couldn't help it.
The coin in the fountain. You're supposed
That's the
to,
coin. That's our virtual coin right now.
yeah. You should, all of you should just kind of toss a virtual coin in there, throw it over your shoulder, and wish for a happy return to Rome.
And that's really what it is, you guys. And you'll see. I think is it 3,000 euros a day they gather out of that fountain, something like that. I mean, just in coins. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Again, like CDL said, for him, he had a holy shit moment too. When
Actually, one of the things that really amazed me is that if you can put that picture back up there, huh?
Just a second, I got to get control here. I can't do that again. Got to trim it, make sure my power's good, and then I'll try to pause again. Pausing is not normal, you guys. So that's so that was
Yeah, it's hard when there's so many tourist sites.
yeah. You would never fly this low. So there's what you were talking about for a
See
second.
all those windows there? So can you point them out? There we go.
So each of these windows that you see
This
here.
this fountain was actually built. It's in many pieces, and they put it together, but it was designed to fit the back of a building, and it's one of their palaces, I believe. And so all those windows are actually have people behind them.
Come on over this way a bit. You're off camera.
Okay.
Right, you don't have to go back. Just come over this way too. And there we go.
Okay.
It's just you were behind the bar there, okay?
Okay. So, yeah, it's a working building behind, and those columns that are
Just-
in front are fitting in between the windows. It was designed that way. So it's quite a marvelous thing. When they take it apart to clean it, they take away one section at a time, and then put that section back and take another section to clean it. Oh, they got it all figured out.
So stay where you are, Kevin. I'm coming to you. Did you need that picture anymore, Elaine?
No.
Okay. So the next one, to save time, you guys, the next one we're going to, we'll just show you the picture now while I'm driving. Where do I get that from? Well, I'm getting there. So right below us, well, I'll just tell you right now, we're almost there. So right below us is the Circus Maximus where we landed. There's the Tiber River over on the left. And I'll just come down and join Kevin over here. There's a good landmark. And there you can see the Colosseum over there where I'm headed. Now, this is actually a good... I gotta cut some power, you
You
guys.
see the big wedding cake ahead?
Okay, Kevin, thanks for being the landmark for me. So there's the wedding cake. Look how it looks from the sky. It even looks like it stands right out from the city. I'm gonna go straight over it, and I'm going... I'm not used to driving. I'm not used to flying like this. I'm going to go straight up this street called the Via del Corso, I think it is, right? It's a main street. And I'm just going to go up to the Piazza di Popolo. But before I do that, I just want to point out what we were just talking about. And it won't pause for me. Technical difficulties. Right there is the Trevi Fountain we were just talking about. All right, so I can just zoom in. I'm not going to take the drone over there because it takes too long, but I'm just trying to save us some time, you guys. Right. Let me just see if I can do it right there. And you can see in the simulator, it doesn't look that great. But you can see that that is actually it. It is in the right spot. It is from above. It looks great. From this angle and from the ground, it's just a photograph stuck on the ground.
Keep in mind that if you're actually in a low plane or you were standing on a lookout point, the skyline is beautiful, and you would easily recognize all these monuments. It's just not because it's a simulator. It's not a beautiful view, but the actual view is stunning when you look at Rome, and you can just pick out all the different monuments that you know.
So this actual barrier you see here is for real. They put up a fence. When we were there was a fence there too. So we had to throw the coin over the fence. And I think it's because people would go in and wade in the fountain and pick up coins. And so they had to actually stop the tourists from invading the pool. Anyway, there's all kinds of stories about that. Let's come back to where we're headed. We've got 2 stops left, you guys, and one of them is the Piazza di Popolo up ahead,
I'm
and then
thinking
around
we might
to
want to skip it and just go to the end.
skip the Piazza di Popolo. Well, this is where we're headed. I'll do a flyover. We won't stop. All right. So we're going to fly over this big, huge Piazza di Popolo, and just to give you an idea what that looks like.
That's the fountain.
It's just, there's so many amazing things about this. This is a fountain. I mean, people are up there. Cars are going by on the road here. More people here. And this is a cascading fountain to here, to here, to here, to here. And then look at the size of the people. Now, this is the side of the piazza. If I come back a bit.
Basically, you're going up the hill.
There's from the top of the fountain. So that you can see there's a car, but there's people here also. And the water flows in front of us all the way down to here.
Yeah.
It's just to look at all this and say, who planned this? This is amazing.
Yeah. That's only one tiny thing of the piazza. It's called Piazza del Popolo, meaning the square of the people.
Right.
And that's where they have concerts, open-air concerts, and all sorts of festivities. It's
There's
also
Kevin.
a major thoroughfare. There's something like six streets that branch out from it. So, very big area, very popular area in Rome.
So let's continue on so we can, here we go again, coming out of the pause. Wow. Not good. I mean, just for those who are watching, you don't normally pause an airplane. It just can't be done. But we try to do this in the tour. Fastest way to get through Rome, right? Over there was the Spanish Steps, yeah, that we saw right there. You can see the spire.
You
Yeah.
guys know all about them, right?
Yeah. Good Kevin having a great time up there. So now we're coming up on these famous, I'll just do a flyby. What we were just talking about, there it is in front of us. I'm flying over the lookout point where the fountain is, but there is the Piazza di Popolo. Del Popolo, right.
Of the people.
Elaine's helped me with my Italian all along, you guys.
It's a working.
There's the sister churches right there. All right, I'm going to slow it down. We're going to our final destination. We're just going to follow the Tiber up to probably, would it be the second biggest tourist attraction?
Yeah.
In all of Rome? And it's our final stopping point. So
Well,
I'm going to stop.
We are going to see one of the romantic places at Rome before we actually
Well,
hit there, though.
as we're going by, I need to point this out to the pilots of the group, all right? And
Yeah.
it looks like I've just got Kevin with me right now, but and CDL's watching too. But so right here, pilot to pilot, you guys, there is something right there. That is the Supreme Court in Rome, that beautiful white building. And that's right near what we're about to uncover. But I'm making a point of this for the pilots in the group because we're going to come around here as our base turn. And we're going to do a precision base turn.
Cursor?
What's that?
Can you point it out with the cursor? Because you'd have to look straight down to see it.
So
There it is, the Supreme Court.
the Supreme Court. Well, I thought I was on that angle, but that's all right.
Yeah,
We'll
we
clarify.
just saw the
So
road.
we're going to be flying by, turning here, coming around to where I am now on a slow approach to land at St. Peter's Square, right? So that I'm pointing that out so you can find it from the air. And we're always looking for landmarks to make our turns, right? And then we're going to be turning and landing right up where Kevin is already. Did you land, Kevin, or are you just pausing right now? So it looks like he's on the ground. So this is where we're going in, and this is where I saw Kevin the other night. He and I were doing practice landings. We're going to come in and do what you can't do in real life, and that is use this very wide road to land. It's very tight, so our wings are almost scraping, and I have actually scraped the building on the way in and fell to the ground. So I've been practicing this as a precision approach, just for the fun of saying I landed at St. Peter's Square and survived. All right, so that's just so you know, we're going to circle around Supreme Court in for a landing, but first we're going to have a look on the way in.
Take a look at that. Point it with the round building that's up here, huh?
Right here?
Right there, because you're going
That's-
to be looking at
That's the second last attraction, and it's our favorite place, this bridge and this castle.
the most romantic,
That's where we're headed.
probably the most popular walkway in all of Rome.
Let's see if I can get out of this pause without... my wheels up? Yeah, I might have to land in the Tiber. Let's see how it goes. Okay, we're good. You never know, right? So we're coming in like this. I'm not coming in for landing yet. We're just going to show you a couple of things. Right. Wait for it. Right there. Yeah, almost got it. So this is the famous Angel Bridge, everybody. And I'll let Elaine talk about it some more, but to me, this is my favorite place on earth. I mean, standing on this bridge and looking at this castle is just another holy shit moment. It's like they build these things. So let's have a look at that.
I don't think the simulator does it justice, huh?
I don't think it does, but it's
Okay.
there, and
But
that's the
maybe
point,
you
right?
could just show them a picture of it.
Yeah, I know. But
It's,
all right, so let's start with this one. This one is a picture with Elaine sitting in front of our favorite bridge, and you'll notice in this picture, that I'll just move you out of the way, okay, Elaine?
yeah.
So you just notice that there's these statues, and these are the angels, and this is where the bridge gets its name. It's the Angel Bridge. All right, so that's one view.
But just so that you know, it's one of the few bridges in Rome that cross the Tiber that cars aren't allowed. It's a total pedestrian bridge.
Just a minute.
And
There's-
it's never empty.
There's the view. So this is the Angel Bridge here. It's a walking bridge only,
Yeah.
and it leads to the castle. All right, and so let's go look at the next picture. Right here. There's the leading up to the castle.
There you go. So do you notice the golden angels?
I think that's the sun setting on it here.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Some
These
of them
things-
are golden.
you know, the smog of a city, I mean, there's probably
Yeah.
almost 3 million people in this city,
Yeah.
pretty much the same size as Toronto, right? And and these things do get sooty, and they clean them every now and then for the tourists, right? But, you know, typically a day in the life here, oh, not
Yeah.
there. I gotta go like this, sorry. A day in the life here would be like that. There's
Yeah.
one of our photos. And if you look very closely, there's me in red right there. See
Yeah.
that little tiny guy right
Yeah.
there? That's me, right? That's my claim to fame. That's it. But you know, you just want to hang out here all day because it's so
what
gorgeous,
is the
right?
castle you're asking?
Yeah. So what's in there?
It's called Castel Saint Angelo, which is Saint Angel's I guess Angelo.
Castel
Castel
Saint
Saint
Angelo,
Angelo.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
holy angels. Anyway, the castle was originally
Just gonna-
okay. It was a Roman structure, and it was originally, I think, a prison, and then it got transformed at some point.
I think it was
Maybe-
originally built for the emperor at the time. I think it was Hadrian.
Yeah,
And-
Hadrian, yeah.
And
Anyway,
he built it like he was so pompous, you know. He built it for that'll be his tomb, right? And all
There
his
we go.
family and all, you know, wealthy people do
Yeah.
this, that, right? And then every emperor after that used it for the same reason, and
Yeah.
now that's the Pope's retreat, right?
well,
Like
Yeah.
in times of danger, right?
yeah, it's actually got a secret passageway that leads from St. Peter's, which is not far away, to the Vatican, not far away, to actually, if they were ever being, remember that Italy has always been at war. The states, they just recently unified, so everybody was kind of fighting to survive, and the Vatican was one of the armies fighting to gain momentum and take over land. And so the Pope was often under attack, and that was his getaway safe place. So I think it's now you can enter it though. Seems to me I read
We
that.
couldn't at the time.
You've never been in.
That's
Okay,
that's the only
so-
3 I got. So you know, we won't dwell on that one anymore. But this was actually the passageway right here. This is an elevated walkway, and it is actually the boundary of the Vatican. And we'll have a look at that from the top. But you know, these are all things that Elaine taught me while I was there, you guys. So don't be impressed with my knowledge. But I do like what CDL said about the costume guy that was looking for tips, and he said it was less realistic once he started talking on his iPhone. Not very authentic, is it? All right, so
Yeah.
for our last stop, and thanks for hanging in there, everybody on the stream. But let's just have a look down this very wide street, and we'll come in for a landing where Kevin's patiently waiting for us. Either he's paused, 240 feet. No, I think he's just moving around. I think he might even be coming back out. You want to see him come in for a takeoff? It looks like he's coming our way. So let's just pause for a second. He's coming our way. Looks like he's speeding up. Hey, we might as well have a look at him coming out. There he is.
He took off from St. Peter.
He took off from St. Peter's.
Oh.
He got tired of waiting for me. There's Kevin,
Yeah.
you guys. He's on our stream with us. That's Balto. And he just took off from St. Peter's Square. Gear up. Positive rate. He's good. So I'm going to just circle around the Vatican so you can see the Vatican grounds, St. Peter's Church. And Elaine, do you want to talk while I'm doing this? To talk about it or set the stage for it
Yeah.
maybe? And then I'll just do
I think-
a circle around. I'll come back, get ready for a landing.
Yeah, I think everybody knows about the Vatican and St. Peter's, but Again, were famous names. The square was designed by Bernini, the colonnade outside, and Michelangelo did the dome. The whole pile of famous artists decorated inside. And Bernini had some influence in there too. It's filled with gold and statues and famous works of art and frescoes on the wall, and it's the whole thing is inside, it's gorgeous. A lot of very expensive, valuable works of art inside. And outside, if you can actually, we're watching you land, but
No, I'm not landing. I'm just circling for you.
no, I was going to say, once we get the picture up where they're going, where you're going. we
So
can
here's
talk
from the
about
other
that.
side, here's around St. Peter's, and right below me is all the Vatican grounds, which they're, like Michael was just telling us, they're open now, right?
Actually, I'm seeing different. Every resource I look at tells me a different measurement of the Vatican. The most recent was 2 square miles.
Used to be one, right?
One place said it was only half a kilometer wide, but so I had heard originally it was 1 square mile. It is its own state. It's recognized internationally. The Rome authorities have no authority inside the Vatican grounds whatsoever. It has its own post office, it has its own stamp, it has its own flag. Remember that the Vatican was originally one of the separate states that was fighting to control everything. And they had Rome as their center. But then Victor Emmanuel took over. He unified all the states. His armies beat out the Roman army, or the Vatican armies, and unified the country. And all that the Vatican had left was its 2 square miles, or whatever dimension it is. So for them, it's not a lot. They've kind of been isolated inside their walls. So there is walls all around their area because it is a different country within a city.
So, if I might add, I mean, here in the piazza, this was my biggest holy shit moment, you guys, when
You make it big.
she would walk, let's just make it bigger here.
There we go.
She would walk me into the middle we came off one of these side streets. She'd have me blindfolded, walk into the middle like this, have me stand right here and face the church, and then tell me to open my eyes.
And what did you see when you opened them?
Well, let me tell you.
Now that you asked.
I'm glad you asked.
Doesn't get any bigger. There you go. That's
So,
what he saw when he
first
opened
I
his
saw
eyes.
that, then I saw the angels all around. I mean, they're not
Okay,
angels.
bring the other one up.
So then,
Then he looked around at the colonnade.
then you look around and see that there's statues along this whole thing, and there's whole history behind those
So
too, of
if you
course.
can see with your cursor, Hal, right there, those are the apostles.
Right here,
the 12
right?
apostles at the top of St.
12
Peter.
apostles.
And all around here at the top of the colonnade is all the saints in the Catholic Church.
And this is all flat, and right now they've got chairs there assembling because probably the Pope is coming out to address them at some point. But they have had, when we were there, this whole square was full of people. Could have been 3,000, could have been more, I think, but some say 3,000. So, and we're going to be landing here and then taking back off again through this big street. But let me just show you.
Speaking of crowds, Hal.
Speaking of crowds? Yeah, that's a good cue. Okay, speaking of crowds, how about that?
Whoa! Look at how many it holds.
I missed my cue. Thanks, Elaine. Speaking of crowds, this is from when we were there.
Yeah.
And in the middle is the cenotaph, of course. You're going to see me try to get around that with the airplane, but they don't make the ground flat in Flight Simulator, so we're going to be bumping around to try and get out of here. But when people aren't crowded around watching the Pope, these things are actually fountains, all right, on both sides. And the enormity of the thing is just breathtaking. I don't know if I've got any other photos, but let me just have a quick look. Yeah, there's a wide angle one, so you can see all the pillars all the way around both of
Actually,
them.
do you want to zoom in?
Sure.
The reason all those people are there is what happened to the bit over here.
What do you mean over here? Yeah.
The
right.
reason all these people are here is because it's Sunday, and every Sunday, the second window over, second up, that window up there, the Pope comes out onto his balcony, And addresses the crowd.
Now, on this day, he actually came out. We have more photos. We're not going to show them to you because it's just long and drawn out. But on this day, you can see them all seated and looking forward. The Pope actually came out in front of the church, and he has his microphone and everything, and he addresses them all in this big, huge event that we just stumbled upon. We weren't there for this event. Elaine was there to show me this place, and we went back again when it was empty so that we could see the enormity of it. But this was just almost like, I don't follow this stuff. I don't follow Roman Catholic things, and I come here and I see this, and you get caught up in the emotion of it.
Well, this particular
Just being here,
event,
listening to the people, seeing the people, and all of them singing together. And amazing moment.
This particular event, people were coming from all over the world. I think it was something to celebrate youth, if I remember.
It was a youth thing, now that you mention it,
young people from all over the world came
amazing.
representing each country or each city.
Okay, so let's go in for our landing, and that'll be, thank you for hanging in there, you guys, for all of this. I hope that wasn't too many photos and too much, about our own experience, but I'm going to come in for a landing, and that'll be the official end of our live tour. Kevin and I can still do takeoffs and landings and have some fun and head back to an airport, but you don't have to hang out for that part. So I know a lot of people have things to do, but if you just bear with me while I come in for a landing, let's see if Howard can do it. Just for how scary it is to come in between those buildings and not do a wingtip. Let's see if I can pull it off again. So we're going to go back around to the Supreme Court, which is easy to find, that big white building up ahead. And as I'm doing this, let's just treat that street to the right. Let's just treat that as our runway. All right. And so to treat it as our runway, we would do our downwind checks right now, our dumps check. We would make sure that our RPMs are low. We would set our flaps. And as I turn around the Supreme Court, I'm going to set another 20 degrees. Looks like Kevin's lurking nearby, probably ready to land also. Gear down, things we do on our downwind checks. The gear's coming down. And one more flap. All right, I want to get nice and slow. I want to make sure I don't fall in the drink. If I do, I'll just pull my wheels up. Hey, there's the Pantheon. I see it. And then now we're just going to come in nice and low. That's not exactly slow, Howard, so I'm going to just bleed off some speed here. Bleed off some altitude. Come in nice and slow. I'm still very high, you guys, so I'm just going to bleed off some more here. See if I can pull this off. I'm flying this way instead of my normal way to land because I got to line up my wings. I'm high, but that's okay. Not high. My airplane is high. And I'm just going to come in and try and keep it centered so I don't clip anything. And then as soon as I get down, it's going to be a hard landing. I'm going to have to hit brakes right away. So like that. Hover a little, bleed off some more speed.
Excuse me,
Don't clip a window. Oh,
Excuse
whoa,
me.
watch out. Oh, and there's the bumpy part. And we're down. Brakes,
Watch
brakes,
the
brakes.
obelisk. Don't
Bra-
hit the
I didn't say
obelisk.
brace. I said brakes, brakes, brakes. And we did it.
Don't hit the church.
CDL,
Don't
what do you
hit
think of that
it.
landing?
Would not be good.
Do you see they rated that other landing, the one they gave an F? I'm not sure what they'll give me on this time. Right? No, actually, it's a good question you have there. I can't read quite what your name is. It's in purple. Is it Barney? Barney Byrne? No, I don't have any liveries moved over. There are some coming out now. Some third-party developers are making some liveries. So this is the one that's built right in. It's the icon. The only thing you can put on is the actual tail number. Right? So I've got Porter Learn to Fly right here. That's the only thing you can put on yourself. I'm just going to put a
CDL
parking brake on.
said he was amazed. She was amazed by this building. I also had a holy shit moment.
Yeah, it's true, right?
That
And
is-
then CD just gave me a rating there. He said, "Butter, beautiful landing." Considering the tenseness of it all, you would never do that in real life. You don't chance hitting a wing. Look at Kevin coming in. Let's watch him. Look at that. Here he comes. He's coming in hot. He's gliding. He's good. Brakes,
He's
brakes,
fine.
brakes,
Oh,
brakes.
oh, oh.
Look, he
Oh
pulled it
my
off.
gosh, right beside
He
you.
pulled it off.
Now
What a
that's
nice.
showing off, Kevin.
That really is, isn't it?
Everybody's showing off. You know what? I think before we go, you've just gotta see the modern day. Just bear with us for 5 minutes.
What do
All
you-
right.
that's-
Traffic in Rome.
Well,
We can't leave.
I'm
without-
reserving that as a finishing video with sound.
Okay, but
Okay.
we gotta.
You gave me the collection. I said I'm going to put that into a finishing video.
I understand.
people are
I've
leaving.
gotta tell them about how they park.
Oh yeah, the park. Yeah. So way to go, Kevin. You stuck with me all the time. You were patient enough to hover and circle and have lots of fun. we are going to be taking off from here, but it is the official end of the tour. We're not going to show anymore. And then, do you guys notice when I was approaching, there was a truck in the way? Did you notice how fast he turned around? He looked left out his window, saw me coming down the street, and turned around and went right back. It was good. So go ahead.
So
Elaine.
Kevin, here's a challenge. Try parking with all the other cars that are parking in Rome. And the story I'm about to tell is when we were out with relatives and we couldn't find a parking spot. So our relative, who's a Roman, said not to worry, there's a teeny spot over there. And we looked at it. It wouldn't even fit half his car. So he pointed his car inward and he just nudged the car in front and he pushed it forward until it banged into the car ahead. And then he went past and he backed into the other one behind him and pushed till he pushed it, banged into the car behind, and he created some space and he barely got in there. And he called it
Parking by ear.
parcheggio all'orecchio, which is parking by ear. You just back up till it crunches, go forward till it crunches, and you're in. So, keeping that in mind, after that, I saw so many people that have parked by ear because you can tell they're literally squished in between other cars. Parking's at a premium, and that's why we never did get a chance to talk about the Vespas and the Cinquecentos, the Fiat 500.
And they're all over the place.
Yeah.
This place, just so you guys know, and I'll just put this last note in, this place inspired me so much. And I fix all my own cars. We keep our own fleet working. This place inspired me so much. We ended up buying a Vespa, a vintage 1984 Vespa with the foot crank and everything. And we had that here in our house for years until we figured out we're too old for that kind of danger because here in the Toronto streets. But, that was the type of inspiration this place was. And also, there are so many smart cars here before they were in North America that we wanted to take one back with us. We couldn't take one back with us because of the cost of doing that. But we did end up being first on the list for Canada, for North America, to have the first smart car. And we ended up getting a smart car. You'll see one in the closing credits. You'll see a red smart car just like ours, right? Well, so you got on the wrong stream. Sorry, but I hope you liked it while you were here. And, there is a donate button over there somewhere in my... No, but the whole idea of the smart car, this is where we saw them, and it inspired me to say, that's what we need for buzzing around Toronto, going to work every day. So that's what we ended up buying a smart car too.
We ended up getting the first North American smart car.
It was actually, the first boat with the first 4. 3 of them were for dealers and 1 was for us. Yeah. And then we drove that thing around forever, and it was so much fun. After that, I bought a Ford Escape, and people said, where is your smart car? And I said, it's in the back. So all right, we're going to take off from here. We're going to say thanks, everybody. As Kevin and I take off into the sunset, I'm going to leave you with the closing credits with some pictures of modern day Rome today with the Vespas and the cars, and that'll finish it off for the day. We'll leave the chat window open for a little while longer, and I'll answer any questions people have. But I've been lucky enough to have Factual Gall, and I've been lucky enough to have CDL who can answer questions for you while I was focusing on trying to fly. So Kevin, here he comes up beside me. I got full power on and my parking brake. I just want to check my instruments to make sure that they're good. And as we take off, I'll leave you guys with the closing credits. And Kevin and I will carry on and land at the airport just north of us here.
Stick around and have a laugh at the way they park.
Yeah, it's going to be a riot.
There's no rules. They park the way they drive. No rules. Colorblind, can't read the signs.
So Kevin's up ahead. Time for me to roll. I'm going to give it to you from this point of view, everybody, but I got to see my instruments so that I can make sure I know where I'm going. Full power. Look at it bumping away. Go, Kevin, go. All right, I'm going to pass you. He's waiting for traffic. I'm not that polite. I'm just going to...
knocked him out of the way.
Look.
Me.
Whoa, that was close. That's right out of a movie. I think I better get out of here. So I'm climbing. I've got enough climb speed. I got to be careful I don't have a wingtip. And I'm going to turn a bit toward the river. It's hard from in here, isn't it? You could go like that. Right, there's a nice view right there. And there we go off this way, heading around the Tiber and then off to the airport. So I'm going to say at this point, everybody, so long and thanks for joining us on the stream. We were really happy to share our love of the Eternal City. That's what they call it, right? The Eternal City. And we're going to go, whoops, gear up, flaps up. And then we'll take off from here. Anything else you want to say, Elaine, before we give them the ending credits?
No, it's been fun. It's been a blast.
All right, we'll see you later, folks. Thanks a bunch.